Welcome everyone. Welcome to another UGS stream. And so today we have another programming stream with yours truly, Kaado, the programmer of the UGS team. Howdy. And today we are going to continue, doing work on Godot. Yes, indeed. So, I have something kinda planned, kinda going to wing it again, who knows? But my idea for today is basically to start doing some enemies, or at least the base of them. And, well, you might be wondering, enemies? Game? Godot? What the hell are you talking about? So for those who are new to the streams, or in here watching VODs or whatever platform you are, we are a very, very small studio working on indie games. And the game that we are working right now, called Droian, and you can see it on our website ugs.pt. PT because our studio is based in Portugal, and the domain .pt is cheap, so there you go. There's that as well. But Droian is our 2D pixel art Metroidvania wannabe game. It contains some horror elements, and yeah, there's our team and so on and so forth. It's not the only game that we are developing on codes, and I say on codes because other games, they are in pause, but they are still in the pipeline. For example, Exauria. Yes, indeed, Exauria is another 2D pixel art game that we are developing. It's an RPG wannabe as well. You can play the alpha on itch.io, but be aware the alpha, it's not the Godot version, but the P5, the JavaScript using the P5 library version, which is the crappier one. You can see the developments in Godot on our VODs. I believe they are available in here on Twitch, but also on YouTube as well. We save there the VODs of the streams as well. Red Run is a game made on Unity. A game, it's an alpha version of an idea of a platformer that we have. Horror as well, so pretty cool. You can try that alpha in there. And of course, Droian, which was a game that we start developing in Unity as well, but we kinda move on from that idea, Things have happened, and I believe they are coming back around. There's... I don't know if they are good or not, but some stuff has happened in Unity, in the company, and I believe they may or may not be in the right direction. I don't know. They have, made stuff recently, that are not as bad as before. Doesn't matter too much for us, because we are moving on to another engine. So Exauria is developed in Godot, and so for us to streamline our development using the same tools, it's open source, there's no royalty bullshit and whatever, and it's a very capable engine, So we streamline our production, and you decided to use the same engine for Droian as well. And that's what I've been doing these past few streams, the programming streams. It's porting every feature that we have developed in Unity for the game Droian to Godot, which is what we are going to continue today. And so before we continue, because why not show that we have in here. So we have developed a lot of stuff. So we have movement on our character. I.Α.N is moving around. There's wall jumps. There's that. There's the over feature. Jumping while in the air. There's doors that open and close. There's switch that enable doors. Permanently enable doors because we have the automatic doors and whatnot. Pressure plates. They work on timers. After a few seconds they go down. They deactivate and close the door, you know. There's movable platforms, which is cool as well. This activates movable platforms as well, so there is a lot of features that we already have ported, you know. So it's kinda working, you know. Of course, there's your typical bugs, you know, as you can see. It is not a Kaado stream without bugs, but we are not, you know, deal with that today, you know. As it's usual as well for a Kaado stream to leave work for future Kaado to do, future Kaado can deal with this bug in the future because present Kaado, well, myself, you know, I'm kinda in the mood to start doing something that can damage the player. As well, the player can kill it if he has enough munitions. Obviously, I'm talking about enemies, and of course, I want to start developing them, you know, which is a very important part of our game, and for that, I will need a new area. So, let's just select the tile map, go to the auto tile thing, and let's just do cool stuff. So let me just, yeah, I believe this area can be used. There you go. I don't need to close it, so it's fine. So let me see. Let's make some evil more focus. Oh, really? Changing leadership? I didn't understand the question. Which enemy are you making first? I assume the more basic ones so that you can build on that base for the others. Kinda. So let me explain a little bit. Before I start explaining that, the change in leadership may be referring to the Unity thing. Yes, indeed. So the ex-CEO, the same CEO that introduced microtransactions in Unity, he fired himself. So he kind of, you know, things happen. And we have a new Unity CEO that promptly dissolved a lot of companies. So Unity have spent a lot of money buying companies that the new leadership of Unity just said, well, too bad, bye-bye, and they fired a lot of people. Unfortunately, it's very sad for people to lose their jobs in this industry. Although there is other people that introduce microtransactions and other shady business that, you know, I don't really agree with, you know. As you may know, we in UGS, we believe we need to focus on the game and not per se in monetizations, although it's important, it's not our focus. So, yeah. The leadership question was about those changes you said about Unity. There you go. Yes, indeed. But, well, waffle around, you know. Talking about Unity is not really talking about or focusing on the game, as our motto says. So, enemies. So, your comment about the making the basic enemy first is kinda correct, kinda not. So, what do I mean about that? Yes, I'm going to create a base, but it's kinda a base enemy, but it's not really an enemy. So it's just the base core of the enemy. And what I mean about that? So when we have code, and we have a bunch of structured code, we can organize our code in various ways. So let's just opening my favorite tool. Yes, MS Paint. And I was joking about being my favorite tool, although I use it a lot to, write stuff. So let's just say we have something in here, This will be our core for the enemy. And this core, we can have the HPs, the speed, more things that can have the enemy. So there's the HP, the speed, the damage. So there's the damage that can give. And this is basically all the enemies have this. So every enemy has an HP, has speed, has damage that gives the player, and so on. Drawing time with Kaado. That segue. Yes, indeed. And this is basically the art of the enemy. So this is the core that we are going to use to build other enemies, right? So every enemy is going to have this core, basically. And now we can build around that. So let's just say around this core, we can have another capsule, let's just say that, something like that. So we have something around this core that can use the core itself plus other stuff. So let's just say the type of movements. So let's, come on, write something eligible. So movement, and because, if speed is 0, there's no movement, but we have different types of enemies, so movement is important for that. And talking about movement, we talk as well about sight, so detection, it's a better word. So detection, or the type of detection that the enemy uses to detect the player. So it can be sight, it can be sound, although I don't believe we are going to use sound. It's probably going to be sight or area. So it's ways that the enemy can detect the player. So the type of movement, detection of the player, and pathfinding as well, which, it's basically part of the movement. And attack type, So the attack type. And you can have a lot of types in here. And we can just, people love this word lately, which is AI, So basically the AI that, have the movement when the enemy should attack, and if it attacks the player, what it does, whatever. So basically this, And this basically creates the core of, the cores, the stackable cores of our enemy. But there's not only that, because, there is another, which is basically the appearance, It's the appearance, the visuals, the animations, and whatever. And why is that? Well, a lot of enemies can be related to others, meaning we have a lot of enemies that has the HP, the speed, the damage, movement. Maybe the damage should be moved to here, depending on the number of attacks that enemy has. We shall see. But basically, we can have an enemy that moves on the ground, it just walks around back and forth. It attacks the player the same way, it moves the same way, it does just one attack. The only difference is the appearance, and the values that we give that enemy for the HP, damage, and speed. The rest will be practically the same, And with this system, we can create a lot of different enemies, which is pretty cool, that share some characteristics, It's basically like people, We are all different, but we are all the same, Meaning we have the same traits, but those traits vary in values, basically, So just like that. And with this, we shall start doing something. I think the movement part is where there may be more difference. Since there's flying ones and hopefully maybe infected I.Α.N can climb walls. The infected I.Α.N, I don't think I'm going to make him climb walls, but we have the spider enemy, the Spoody Boy, or an enemy that walks on walls and ceilings and whatnot. That enemy will have that feature. So there's different parts of movement. There's the bat and maybe some bosses, just not to spoil that can fly as well. So let's just say, this may be a different thing. So let's just say movement. Alright, talking about cores. Cores, let's just say something. This is something that a programmer can decide, which is programming methods that we can use while programming stuff and organizing our code, which is hierarchy base and component base. And we can mix in between, So this idea will be just something about hierarchy base, meaning parent and child. So parent has something traits, and then child inherits the traits of those parents and can plus have even more traits. Basically, that's the programming way of hierarchy. Components is different. So we have an object, we have a bunch of components, and we add those components to the object that we need. So we can use that stuff in components, although those need to be managed by something, probably AI. AI is just a pretty word for the management component of our enemy, whatever the word you want to use. But program hierarchy equals child labor. They kind of, let's just say in programming there's a lot of funny words that we use. Hydrate. Thank you. I was actually starting to get thirsty. And so, in hierarchy, the child class inherits the parent class traits. In this case, for example, variables like HP and damage and speed and whatnot. But we can also use the component base, which is we have an empty object, let's just say an empty bucket, and we can just, let's say we want to add the movement component, we just add movement component. We want to add the detection component, we add the detection component. And of course, everything must be managed. So all these components must be activated and deactivated and whatnot, and this should be managed by some kind of AI, just so people understand. Maybe. I try to explain this in a very, painty and circles and whatever. But basically the idea is this, is creating an object that can have stuff that is basically traits that is common in every single enemy, and we can add different types of movement if you want later in a component space. Yeah, I believe that's correct. Yeah, that's a good thing to start. So let's try to do something that way. So to start off, we need an object. So let's just create an empty object, because why not? And it will be enemy. I'm going to call it enemy because whatever. It just needs a name. Now, I needed to move it somewhere in here. It doesn't matter where he is, he needs to have a place, and maybe let me open my folders and get something that we can show in image, you know? It is important, I mean, I don't need it, but it is important for the stream for you to see something. So, let me find something that we can use. There's not really a lot of things in here that I can just use as a core thing. Let's start with this one, because why not? So, we don't have a folder for it, so I'm going to create a folder called enemies. There you go. This folder will have our enemies, and we can make it similar to, well, we have characters, so maybe it should be in here, so player I.Α.N, and yeah, it might be in characters though. Yeah, enemies, go to character folder, we have enemies, and inside enemies we can have other stuff. So for now I have imported this sprite, and I'm going to give it that in here. And so for now I don't need an animation thing. I may use it. Let me just check the player really quickly. So animated sprite 2D. We may do that in here just so you see something. So animation. Come on. Sprites. There you go. Animation sprite 2D. And in here he is asking for a new animation, because of course he is. Let's just give it something in here. It will be the characters, enemies, can be this. So just one. And it's not 4. 3, 4, 5. There you go. And we have something. Now let me just check, because this sprite, it is supposed to be like that. Yeah, it is supposed to be like that. I don't have to worry too much about attack animations and whatnot. It doesn't really matter for now. You know, we are just starting with this. And I can even make it playable, so it moves, you know. So the stream has fun seeing this sprite moving, which it really isn't very important for now, but you know, it's something that it's visually appealing, you know, seeing something moving. Now, we need our player. So let's just drag our player in here, and you know, we have an enemy. Actually not. It's just an image moving around with the name enemy on it, so it doesn't really do nothing, right? So to start, we need to give it something of a real body. And what I mean for real body, we can see it, which is the sprite, but it doesn't really touch the player. Spider Boy's got the moves, yes indeed, but this enemy doesn't really touch the player, because, the player, it's the falling animation, it's kinda, yeah, this one is better. So the player has an image, so you can see it, but the thing that makes it collide with other objects, so basically what gives it the real body, it's the collision node. So if you remember about the thing that I explained about components and hierarchy and components whatnot, it's basically game engines usually are made this way. They have hierarchy things and component things. So what do I mean about hierarchy? So if I create a player with a node type player, in this case is a character body 2D. So the character body 2D has an hierarchy that contains all these traits. So it contains basically motion things and direction and layers and a position, basically a transform that contains position, rotation and scale and all other stuff, This is basically the thing that this node receives from its parent. So the parent object being the character body 2D, and we have created a player that contains these traits. Now, we also can add things to our player, adding like components. So for example, we want a collision on our object, which is the player, so we just basically add the component called collision shape 2D. And that's basically the thing that we are going to do to our enemy. So we are basically going to add some components, starting with the collision. So collision shape 2D. Now, there's a thing about this enemy and about this player. So the enemy is basically a character, and it can moves and whatnot. So we have the character body 2D, which gives us a bunch of things that we can use to move our character, which is pretty useful. And we may want them on our enemy as well. So a thing that we can use, it's basically change. So we can change this by reparent. It's not this, sorry. So it's not reparent. So change type. There you go. So we are going to change the type of this node, and we are going to change it for a character body 2D. There you go. Now this little dude has collision, but it still doesn't have it in really, because we haven't selected a shape. So let's just give it a shape. It can be, for example, a capsule. It's very useful for it to be a capsule, by the way. This is a common thing that programmers hate, is when things are created with the main object not being centered correctly. So let's just do that. So the transformer of this thing should be 0, 0, the same thing for the sprite as well. So let's just center things. 0, please. There you go. And so our enemy is now, come on. Our enemy is now centered in this position. So we were in this collision. So let's just edit the collisions a little bit so they represent better this character. There you go. We have this. Now, if I put the enemy in here and I play it, is in there. But if I drag it down and I move it, let's just say move the player, you know, I'm colliding with the enemy. See? I'm levitating a little bit. So we are starting with more bugs. Great. But you know, basically the important thing is that we are colliding with the enemy. Now, as you can see, there is even more bugs because the character is seeing the enemy basically being a wall. We don't want that. So we have done stuff before that basically gets this character, and we can select the type of character that he is. Let me just collision. There you go. So let me just see if I remember correctly. Moving platform, this is not what we want. We want the collision thing. And so, the ground should be... Where is the collision things of the ground? I don't really remember them, but the player is the 2. The projectiles, I believe the enemy is the number 3. But let's just make sure. So it's some types of objects, and they are not there. There you go. Mine and projectile, they have different things. So let's see. The mine is number 5. The projectile is number 4. There you go. And the enemies are going to be number 3. There you go. It's not the mask, it's in here. So number 3. It's important. So enemies are in number 3, but they don't detect this. So we can choose what the enemies can detect or not. So the enemy can, of course, detect the ground. We can also make the enemy not seeing the player, so the player can basically walk through it. We may not want that, so let's just block the player as well. Can enemies block other enemies? That's a great question, and I don't know. So let's just see chat. Spider Boy's got the moves. Hill body, summer body, no filter. Yes, does it matter what the shape of the collider is? Like, is capsule better to make it walk on walls and ceiling? Yes, it does. And I can explain it really quickly. So let's just say we have two cubes. Let's just make it square. You know? If we make it square, and we have, for example, something diagonal, in a diagonal, and we make the character trying to move in that plane, basically this square, the corner, will hit another corner and it will not slide in, you know? And this can make a lot of bugs. For example, the bug in here, for example, we have this tile set, and this tile set has collision, right? And it is basically a perfect rectangle for the corners. So let's just say if this corner of the collider collides with the corner of the tile set, the collision will basically make this character stop, because it will not move. But if the corners are rounded, being basically a capsule, then they are going to just slide, so it's not gonna collide, basically. Instead of the corner colliding, it will basically going to slide. So I would like if the enemies block at each other, that adds strategy to the player's choice. So the designer has spoken. Enemies collide other enemies. Also could be funny like image one of the spiders coming down the wall and climbing one of the slow moving cows. That can happen as well. That can happen as well, indeed. I will just need to make the enemy's AI being able to move around other enemies as well. But yeah, that is possible. More. So obviously, 4 and 5, the enemy should be able to collide with the projectiles and mines and whatnot, so they can be damaged. And there you go. We have a basic enemy, somewhat. Let me just adjust this collision, even though this collision doesn't really matter, you know. It's just here so we can collide with the enemy. But there you go, we have an enemy. Now let me just check something, because I thought that making this object a character body 2D, it will give him gravity, but I don't think it gives it gravity, or I don't know where that is set up. So I need to check that. I need to check where that used to be, because there's all that, so it's, yes, it should be in here, and it should have gravity. Now I have forgot where we set gravity. Or it's, I believe it's a global, maybe, I don't know. Let me see. Save. I will move the enemy to the air, and so our character has movement, but our enemy does not. So as you can see, the bug about the enemy being a wall, I think it's fixed. So let me see. Gravity is not giving today. I mean, it's giving it to the player, so I.Α.N has gravity, but the enemy does not. So let me see. Gravity is not giving today, so I use that character's body 2D today to test the tile set. I set with auto tile on a separate project not connected to GitHub to avoid conflicts. Thank you. It failed, so I assume it has gravity. Exactly, that's what I was thinking. So I don't really know why it's not moving though. That's my biggest question. Or should it be something that... Wait a second, let me just check something in here. Is the gravity done by this thing in here? So speed, movement, speed, I have a gravity thing in here. That's the greatest gravity. There you go. I have gravity set up in code. So yeah, it's not something that is given directly, so gravity is basically made in code. So we can start coding then. There you go. So let's just create a new script. I will call it enemy, because why not? And this enemy, it's basically created a template. And this template of character body 2D, it gives us a speed that we can change, jump velocity, and whatnot. Let me just make sure. Okay, this character thing is being affected by our inputs, which I really don't like. So I don't want this in here. Of course, I want to add gravity to our character. It's important. It's a ground. And even though, you know, it's spider enemies, but just forget for now that it can walk on walls. It's not important for now. So, scripts. Let's just go back to the scripts and enemy. So, it's affected by gravity. Gravity will need to be a thing that we can change. So let's just do that. Meaning gravity will be an export. So we can change that thing. It should do that. So let me just make sure export var ammo blah blah blah. There you go. So export var gravity, and it doesn't let me export because cannot use simple export notation because type of can't be inferred. So let me see how I have made on the player just so I know that. Alright, I need the float equals to something. Alright, we can do that. So 2 dots float equals to this thing, and it should be fine. There you go. So we have the first value that we can change on our enemy is gravity. Now, I don't want him to move in any direction for now. So this code will be gone. And I believe that's it. The move and slide, it's probably not needed, but yeah. I mean, it may needs this thing to apply this, but we can test it really quickly. So let's just see. So, is the enemy going to fall? No, it's not, so it needs this thing to move. And so, he is now going to move. There you go. The enemy has fallen. Fantastic. What? Wow. I.A.N is so strong that he can basically jumps with the enemy in it. Jump with me. Yes. I can jump with the enemy. Funny bugs. Anyway, the enemy has gravity, which is what we wanted. So, enemy has gravity. Fantastic. Now, let's just check really quickly another object. We have an object called projectile. And this projectile, you know, has some collision things and an area node. So this is an area 2D node and the collision. So this collision doesn't work the same way the collision that we have on the enemy. So when we use a solid object and we use a collision on those solid objects, those collide with each other. But we don't want this bullet to collide because, well, we can detect collisions, but it's not the best way to do things. So the best way to do things is to check if the bullet overlaps the enemy. And so to explain this really quickly, just so what do you mean? Collision should work fine, right? So we have this enemy, you know, we can give it really small eyes and a face. There you go. We have this enemy. And we create a bullet, right? So if we move this bullet, let's just make it move. It goes and it collides with the enemy. When it collides, we need to check if the bullet collides with the enemy to give damage. But collision, it can be pretty tricky and it may not be super reliable with these matters, and it's not really what happens in reality. So let's just say focusing on something in reality. So when we fire a bullet to something, that bullet usually goes through it. So if we want to shoot an enemy, the bullet should enter the enemy. And in reality, the bullet is not inside the enemy, it's overlapping the enemy. And that's what we want to check, if the bullet is overlapping this character. Now we can make the bullet go through it or explode on when it touches the enemy, doesn't matter. What matters is the bullet overlapping the enemy. Because it's a 2D game, so it doesn't matter. It works the same way on 3D, but it's basically another extra vector. The mindset is the same. It's basically, is this thing on top of this, so it's overlapping this object, and if it is overlapping this object, it's basically inside the object, and if it is, it will do a certain action. And so, to overlap objects, we use the node called Area2D. And another great thing of using the Area2D is basically we can use signals. And those signals can basically check if the object has entered another area or body. And that's basically that we want. So we are basically going to check if this object has entered an area or a body. In this case, we are going to check if it's entered a body. So let's just click in here and we are basically see this function. So if on body entered, if the bullet is active, then play that, and if it plays this animation, at the end of the animation, it will basically queue free and gets destroyed. Obviously, we don't have we are not recycling this bullet, so basically we don't have the project holder set up just yet to optimize the game yet, but you know, we have this, and this is very important because we want to detect the type of body this bullet has just collided with. And so we can create groups. I can do it this way basically because there is reason for it. What do I mean by that? We have separated collisions. So player has its own collision, the enemy has its own layer collision. So we have the separated collisions, but the bullets can touch a lot of different characters. So if we just open a bullet, a projectile for example, we can see this projectile can detect everything. From the walls to the player to the enemies to other projectiles as well, and mines. So you can do bullet on bullet if you are precise enough to do it. But this doesn't really matter too much. What matters is separating the detections and do precise actions. Meaning, if a bullet touches an enemy, and let's just make that an enemy, and to do that I need to create a group, and so let's just create a group called enemy, and in this group I will need to select nodes not in this group and nodes in this group. I will select this enemy to this node in here. There you go. So now when I select this node is part of the group enemy, which is great because when I collide with this object, it should be detected on my projectile, right? And so I can just simply, if body body dot get group, let me see if I can just do that, get groups. I want something even simpler. Let me just check it really quickly on Google's. So Godot overlap body. This probably will give me the answer. Let's just see. Let's just see. So there is a bunch of things. I wanted just an example code if that was possible. So it doesn't show me in here. Let me see this. Groups. For even more power, you can use groups instead of allowing you to query the above exactly. That's what I was trying to do. And let me see. Body.name. I don't want the name. I want the group. I want to check if he belongs to a group. Come on. I don't want to check the name. I want to check the group. So if I just no, it doesn't like that. Body.group. So this doesn't give me the answer, so let me just do that. Groups, there you go. And now managing groups using the node doc. Groups, there you go. Guards, whatever. And I have objects on that group thing. And now add to groups. I don't care. I just want to call groups. I can do that. That's cool. That's really cool. I can make custom groups and I can make AI doing like a boss appears and tells its minions to run away and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. But I want to detect get nodes in group. I don't want that. I want detection is in group. That's what I wanted to know. I'm searching on Bing. What am I doing? What am I doing? That's why I didn't found right away my question. So Godot overlapping groups. So there you go. Reddit. So var overlapping equals get overlapping bodies. Get nodes in groups. I don't want that. I just want to check it is in group. There you go. Group name. Something like that. It was hard to find this. God damn it. Freaking Bing. Freaking Bing. But this is basically what I wanted. And then we gave it the name, which is the group enemy, right? Let me just make sure. Let's just make sure enemy, there you go. Because the name must be correct. So if body is in group enemy, then it should make, so body dot damage. There you go. I believe this should work. Maybe it will work. Let's just hope it does. So let me just check something really quickly. So I have projectile, I don't have other crappy stuff in here, right? Door, switch and whatnot. Let me just open a switch just to make sure of something. So I have signals. On body entered, body dot interact equals self and emit, blah blah blah. Alright, doesn't matter. I think that does the job, or it should do it. We can also test it. So enemy, 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 enemy. Come here. I want to open this script enemy. I will create a new function called damage. Print, and let's just pass down a variable. There you go, damage. There you go. Now projectile. Projectile needs to, well, let's just keep it correct. Damage, and in the enemy it's damage. It receives a number, and let's go back to the projectile, and for now I will make it 15. Obviously I'm going to change that, but for now it is what it is. Are you seeing what's happening? I didn't told you to jump with me. So every time I hit the enemy, a 15 appears. See? But if I hit the wall, nothing happens. I have seen another bug. If I spam that, they basically will collide with each other and explode in the air, but doesn't matter. It's another thing. But yeah, beautiful. Yes, the enemy, it's not getting damages. Let's make things straight. Basically, the enemy is detecting the player, the projectile, and the projectile is basically damaging the enemy, or calling the function name damage, and if the enemy gets the function call damage called, basically, it will print the number. Now, making the enemy die, The bombs can be premature sometimes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But let's just make the enemy actually die, which is something cool. So now I want to export another variable, and this variable will be HP. It will be the health of our character, which in this case it's the enemy. It could be integers, but floats work as well, doesn't matter. And let's just give this enemy a default value of 100. 100 health. There you go. Now, when we damage our enemy, obviously the damage should be subtracted from our HP. So, HP, let's just do it correctly. HP minus equal to damage. We can make it smaller, because why not? It will be better. And now, if HP is lower or equals to 0, or basically if HP is lower than 1, because whatever, then let's play the dead, right? So to do something, let's first check the projectiles, because why not? The projectiles, when they reach 0, so if it's active, it will be basically play the animation dead, whatnot, and give you free, and do all those things. For now, the enemy will just disappear. There you go. Let's try and kill this enemy. So, 1, 2, 3. We gave 45 damage to it. Plus 45. And in the next bullet, he is dead. He disappeared. He dead. He very dead. And you know, the collision is also gone, so I can walk around and do whatnot. Boom, baby. He dead. Yes, indeed. Obviously, I could just program animation and stuff, but this sprite doesn't have a dead animation just yet. And let's remember what I have talked about before. The animation is one of the last things to be added. The control animation in here, because there is a lot of enemies that share the same code in common but have different animations. But yeah, he's dying. He's basically disappearing. See? I need to reload. And he's dead. There you go. Oh yeah, these small enemies die with the big explosion sprite. Big explosion sprite? Escape pods, there's not it. Explosion sprite. I have an explosion sprite. I don't know if this is the big one, although I don't think so. I just can make it, just so it's fun, you know? Let's just do it. Because we are on stream and it is good to have visual stuff happening in the game. So let's just do it really quickly, just so it's pleasant in our eyes, even though it's not really useful right now. So let me see. It's not in there. Not in there. Basically, I'm just looking in folders if I find the animation for it. It's in here. No, it's not. It's in objects. In objects, I only have one thing though. So I only have one sprite for explosions in there though. Kisser, welcome back. Glad to see you in the stream. So explosion sprite sheets. Let me see. Explosion sprite sheet. There you go. But that's the one that I use on the projectile. That's not the big one. It's just the one we have. Hope you are all and well. I'm pretty good right now. We have just found a lot of bugs, but yeah, it's something usual for the Kaado streams, you know. It's just that when the bombs go off without killing, the animation doesn't go to the big explosion frame. It's just that when the bombs go off without killing, the animation doesn't go to the big explosion frame. For the regular bombs, it's just the two small explosion frames. When it kills it goes to the big explosion frame. So you divide this thing and you just use these two for the to touch. But if the enemy dies, we play this full animation on the enemy. I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get it. So let me just make sure. I will open a projectile, the animation frame of it, and the die animation. Yes, in the die animation, I'm using the full thing. So I'm going to delete this, and I will probably need to do the same on the mine as well. And so the bullets only do this now. There you go. But the enemies, let me just go back to the enemies. I could just make this a scene root because that will be better. And let me save it on the enemy thing. Did I save? Where did I save the thing? The enemy, the scenes enemy. That's not in the correct folder. So this enemy script needs to be in characters enemies. There you go. Enemy. There you go. Fantastic. Now, in here, let me select the animated thing. I'm going to create another and call it that. There you go. There is a lot of things going on in here, so just what when the bombs go off. I have read that before, so for the regular bomb, yes. The second frame from left to right should only be colored when the enemy dies. Yes, I have understand. So chat is talking with Kisser. Good to see that. Fantastic. Roxy is working on some special things for Droian. Very, very happy to read that. And yeah, people are working. Working is good. Having fun is better. So if you have fun doing work, great. Oh, special things. It's a secret special thing. Maybe, maybe not. Only Roxy knows. We might know as well, but that's a secret. And for those who want to know secrets, yes, let's just make a plug right here. We like to share some secret stuff on our Discord. So if for those of you who are usually like to interact with our community, you know, we are as well on Discord. You can find the link in the description on the stream. And you know, and we like to talk with you and share some stuff. I sometimes go there after the stream, and if I fix the bug, I show that fix in the Discord as well. We also talk about other random stuff. We have memes. We have also free plugs for other stuff. So if you are a developer as well and you like to share your work, you can do that there as well on the free promotion channels. By the way, it must only be on the free promotion channels. If it's somewhere else, it will be promptly deleted. So be aware of the rules. But yeah, we have a Discord channel in there, and we talk in there, and maybe sometimes we can share secret stuff. I may say that we have gave a sneak peek of some of the Roxy's working there as well. So yeah, there you go. Getting back to the work though, we were doing stuff in here, so let's just make a dead animation really quickly. It was on objects. Yeah, it was this one. So it's a 1, there you go, a 1x4 animation. This one, there you go. And let's just do something very, very similar to the projectile, shall we? So in this animation, how did I do the thing in here though? Because I don't really remember. So let's just see the code. On animated sprite to the animation finished. Q3. I understand this, but that's not what I really want though. Or is it? Because enemies are always going to be looping animations. Doesn't matter. For now we can basically do the same thing as the projectile. So let's just do it, you know? Do it. Let's do it. Enemy. Now we have this. We don't really want this in here. Does it matter if it's active or not? Because we know it's active. We want, if the enemy dies, I want it to play dead. The speed will be 0, which is exactly what I want. And I want to rename this speed to the small speed. And I want it to be an export. Var speed. The speed can also be a float of 300. There you go. Jump, we may or may not have it. We shall see. There's gravity and physics for the gravity and more. Let me see. The damage thing. This is useless in here. And yeah, there you go. So, if the enemy dies, it now explodes. It wasn't supposed to be this. God damn it. Freaking the... bugs. Of course. Of course we have bugs. Now, it shouldn't happen. So let's see. What do you want? There you go. A misclick. Easy fix. Some cutscenes, more OST. We have new OST and an extra special maybe OST that is a reference to Portal. I'm really loving it. Be careful about the portal, the reference portal thing, because sound is very prone to royal copyright stuff. So be careful with that. But I'm really loving to see we have new sound stuff. And by the way, we are almost 1 hour and 20 minutes in this stream, and no one has remembered me about something very important. No one has remembered me about that. Why didn't no one has remembered about our sounds and music? So let's play it. I don't know if the volumes are good or not, but there you go. Yes, this is not the music for the game, by the way. This is just a pack of music that I have bought the rights to play on streams and YouTubes and whatever. I can even put this music on the game if I want to, because I own the rights to use this music. I just don't own the exclusive rights for it, or the... I can claim this music is my own, because it's not. But I can play this music wherever I want. So there you go. Yeah, I.Α.N plus enemy equals to fire. Is it? It's Panic Basket? Oh, it's something different. That's the closest thing I have to an explosion. Yes, there you go. It's actually dying. So yes, it's something similar to that. And don't we have a spider icon on the chat thing? I don't know. Doesn't matter. We may have it. Let me just check it right now. We don't. We only have the bat and not the spider thingy. Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. Because you know what? Just because Kisser likes to use that icon, I'm going to do something even different, because I want people in chat to be able to use the enemy icon while we are developing it. And so... where is the sprite that I have just imported? It's in here, there you go. And so I'm going to select this and let's go to enemies, flying enemies, and it is 4. Now our enemy has a different face. See? So, my new favorite emote, by the way, it's the imp. Oh, that's sad, because the imp is from the Exauria, is not from this game. But we may see it in the future. We may see the imp in the future. It's our fire creature on the Exauria realm, you know? You're gonna make the Nori boy bats? Yes, bats indeed. The Nocti boy, it's actually the name of this enemy. The programmer doesn't really know or remembers the actual name of the enemies. But I know this is the bat enemy, which is the Nocti boy. Well, it's starting to grow. It's starting to grow, the name on me. It's kinda a pun, a funny pun. NoctiWings. His name is NoctiWings? Well, he has a name. For me, it's going to be the bat enemy. Or the Nocti boy. Because memes. But yeah, we now have this guy in here. And let's try. Boom. There you go. But it's... Oi. Why do you do that? Why you do that? Come on. you don't have this, and the autoplay is on default, which is looping, but the dead one it's not looping. So if the dead one is not looping, why don't you go Q3? So I'll on animated sprite 2D animation finisher. Is there something that I'm missing from? Yes, there is. I haven't connected the thing. So let me see. In here I have the signals on the animation thing, right? Yes. And I will do the same on the enemy. So on animation finisher, I want to connect this to enemy. There you go. And now that the animation is connected, he shall die. Boom! And he disappeared completely. There you go. Fantastic. He's gone. He's really gone. Fantastic. So now that we can, kill the enemy, we can change his health, we can make it die in one shot or die in two shots. Let's just make it die in two shots, because why not? We can change the health as we please. See? Fantastic. There is another thing that I want to give to this enemy though. He can die, but I also want it to damage the player. Yes, indeed. Now I was just thinking if I should make this inside the actual enemy thing or if it should be a different component. I think it should be a different component than we later add to the enemy, So we have the enemy, it has physics, it can die, it has the collision, and so on. Now we are going to create another component. And this component can basically be added to player, enemy, mines, projectiles, whatever. This component will be the damage area. Yeah, that's a great name. That's a great name. Yeah. Damage area. So let's just create an area 2D. I will give it a name, the damage area. And in this damage area, obviously I need to add a collision. This collision can basically be a circle, doesn't matter, it will be edited anyways. I will add it as a new thing, and it can be on the enemies folder, cause why not? Let's open our damage area. And in this, I will create a script, damage area. Yes, it can have this name, cause yeah. It can have this name, because why not? Now, in here, I want something that I need by clicking here. So body entered. In this body entered, I will need something. Let me see. Connect. On body entered. If anybody enters this body dot damage, and we can give it a damage value. So let's just make it an export var damage load equals to 15, for example. And body damage, we will call it and pass the damage as well. Now, we don't want this to be permanently doing this thing, you know? We want it to be different. Oh, the Mr. H, hello there. C'est le damage stream. Je ne sais parler français. I believe it's the correct words that I need to say, that I don't speak French. It isn't an excuse though, because when I was very young I had 3 years where I was learning French, but it never sticks in my brain, so sorry. And I haven't trained it in reality. But welcome back. Glad to see you in here. I don't know, it's not how it's spelled. Back in my day, fromage baguette, oui oui. Isn't fromage cheese or something like that? No one really knows how French is spelled. You forged le baguette. Well, yes. Let's just keep the French memes in the chat and focusing on what I was doing, because I was going, you know, the HD and HT thing, you know, for not focusing on other stuff. Let's just focus on the game. So yeah, I was trying to give damage to whatever it collides in here. So I want to run a timer basically. And this to give a shout out to the YouTube peeps, because we have VODs on YouTube, giving another plugin to our other socials. So we have not only the Twitch channel, but we have a YouTube channel as well. So the link are in the description. And we don't really make a lot of videos, we just upload there the clips that we made on the streams and the VODs as well. And so the VODs for the stream are uploaded on the YouTube as well, and we have nice comments, which is people commenting why I haven't used the timer, because I didn't know the existence of this node. And this node is pretty cool, because I can create a timer and I can set up this timer to do stuff, which is cool. Now I have messed around with this and I have forgot how it does stuff. There you go. So I have this. This is a timer and there's a process callback. Should I use the physics one or this one? It doesn't matter. Wait time. Let me see the timer for this damage. It can be a 1 second damage, cause yeah, one shot or a lot. Auto start. So let me see. If true, the timer will automatically start when entering the scene tree. No. The timer will stop when reaching 0. If false, it will restart. Ooh, that's what I want. That's what I want. This. There you go. So, chat is talking about... Yeah, he's doing enemies right now. Yes, indeed. I have already worked the damage part of the enemy. So if you want to see, you know, the enemy gets damaged. Come on. What do you want in here? Let me show to the peeps on the stream that our enemy dies. And now I'm working in a way for the enemy to damage the player. Yes, indeed. There's a lot of things. Hectic day by day. Yes, indeed. So, getting back to this, what I want is when anything enters this place, it will damage, and I want to run this timer. So timer dot auto start or start, it's just a start. There you go. I want to start this. Now, can I create something to check when this goes to 0? There you go. Emitted when the timer reaches 0. That's exactly what I want. And it can be this. Yes, it can be this. It can be this. So I will need to create another variable. Variable target. And so this target I will make target equals to body damage target and start the timer. And when the timer reaches 0, I want to damage the target as well. Now there is another thing that I want to do, which is when the body exits. If a body exits this area, I want the target to be null. And I want to stop my timer. Stop. There you go. Now you may wonder, how does this thing will work on our little character, our player? Because this for now is just to make our player getting damage. It's simple, you know. If I go to the inspector and there's stuff around in here. Where is it, by the way? Where is it? Where is my collision things? There you go, the collisions. So I will not give any layer in this thing, but I will make it detect only the player. So anything can detect this area thing, but this area thing can detect the player, which is great, because now I can close this thing. Let's go to the test area again. I'm going to pick this damage thing, which is already an object that I have saved in here, the damage area. I'm going to open the enemy thing. Why are you down here? Why are you down here? Come on, let's go to the transform. 0, 0. There you go. And we can pick up the damage thing and add it to our character. There you go. Of course, the animation, I want to select a proper animation so I can see the thing. And the damage area should be bigger than this. So, remember, this thing is the collider, so this is basically the body of our enemy, but this will basically be the thing that damage our player. And so let me see, that's an head cannon 100, that's fast, it's still American football. Maiden is French Canada? What the hell is going on in chat? So they are talking about American sports. I really love that specific thing that you said about American football and not just call it football. I really appreciate that. Because the rest of the entire world calls football something that you play with your foot, and Americans for some reason like to call football a sport that they mostly play with their hands. Which is no, it's a cultural thing, and the football that we usually call football, they call it soccer. So yeah, it's something, yeah. Cultural difference, and funny ones. Kisser is thanking for something. I got to get back for work, but she'll be lurking. Thank you for that, I really appreciate the lurking. An extra view goes a long way. Thank you very much. We don't know anything about sports, but I think it's funny that it's called Maiden. Like, is it trying to make people mad? Is that why it's called that? I don't know, but that could make sense, because every single sport that has a lot of fans, they are always mad. I'm not into sports either. My sports is more like playing games and riding bicycles and not really competing with other people, but competing with ourselves, you know? Although I occasionally like to play against other people, like multiplayer games, like esports, there you go. Even though esports make people really angry, and I don't really appreciate that as well. It's the toxicity about multiplayer games, so yeah, I'm a casual single player gamer, so there you go. The last esports that I have played, if you can call it an esports, which is Overwatch, but you know, Overwatch 2 happened and I became a sad player, so I don't play that anymore. So yeah. I don't watch those either, I barely even like playing multiplayer in general. Yeah, I'm starting to see that we are single player enjoyers. There you go. Well, let's just focus on the thing that we are having hands, and we are approaching 8 o'clock, so I will give a small reminder for people in chat if they have someone in mind to raid, you know, that will be nice to do. So let me see, last multiplayer game I have played was with Mr. H, Dead Rising 2. It's goofy as balls, even more so in multiplayer. I also have been playing split screen Baldur's Gate 3. The split screen was the thing. I really enjoyed playing a split screen when I was younger with my cousin. Those were the days. That was really awesome, playing a lot of split screen games. Because, you know, it was more a co-op experience and not like, well, some games we played against each other for fun, you know, but it was not like this toxic, sweaty competitive thing, you know. If you won, you won. You can mock them a little bit, but it's not like this you loser stuff like that, you know. It's more like, hey, I won, and let's go again, you know. But yes, I enjoy way more co-op games than competitive ones, which is sad because we don't see many split screen or co-op games anymore, which is very sad. Very sad indeed. Anyway, getting back to development. So let's just do stuff in here. I want to move this area to here. Yes, something like that. So if this part of the enemy is touching our character, which we have set up the collision to only affect the player, then this script should get target damage, which is our player, and call a script called damage. And so, where is my player controller? I have speeds, more speeds, and there's a lot of things. I don't have HP in here. I see. Let's make it the first thing. So expert var HP, it's float, and let's give it 100 HP to our character. Now the second thing that we need is a function. In this function we call it damage, which needs to be the exact same name that we gave in the script. So damage, and it receives a variable. So in here, come on, player controller, this damage will get a variable, and the HP will be minus equals to damage. Now obviously, if HP is below 1, which means our character is dead, there you go. Now we don't have that function yet, so let's create it. Function dead. In function dead, the speed should be 0. The speed should be 0. Well, do we have an animation for us to be dead? Yes, we have. Yes, we have. So let's just animation dot play Oi. It would be nice to autocomplete, but let's just do that. And make sure we are doing it correctly. There you go, dead. There's the dead animation. It doesn't loop, it doesn't do crappy stuff. The speed is 0, so it should not move. It should still be able to fire and do other stuff though. Let me see. The best way to make it stop. So play that, this dot Let me see, remove child. I don't think this is the correct thing to do, but let's just check. Removes a child node. This node is not deleted and must be deleted manually. May set the owner to remove a node to its descendants or to be null if that owner is no longer a parent or ooh, I like that. Or should I just do this? Play that, remove, and then queue free. There we go. There we go. Just make sure I want to print a message HP right after I got damage, obviously, and I want to print another message in here, so print that. Let's test it. Whoa. So the enemy just decided to go away and is now in here. Come back here. Come back. Come back to your deserved place. So the damage thing, I don't need it in here anymore because the enemy already has it. So let's just place the enemy in here. The enemy is independent and does its own thing. Not yet. It doesn't have movement and other stuff, so he's not completely independent just yet. But I can damage the enemy, and let's just see. The enemy can damage the player. Let's see if he can kill it as well. Badness has happened. Badness has happened. I don't like that. I really don't like that. Let's try this. This is not permanent though. This is just to make the player go away, you know. It still does this bullshit. So can I do something in here? I think I can. Let me try something. This set parent or reparent. It will be the animation thing, and then we remove that. There you go. So let's kill the character and let's see if everything goes to plan. It doesn't. God damn it. God damn it. Let me see if things are happening as I want them. So let's move them up just for now. So the camera does funny things, you know. We'll try to fix it later. I just want to make sure that stays in there and it doesn't. So I may need to change stuff. I may need to change stuff in this thing because this is not working, obviously. Let me just, you know, comment this. If we don't do that, maybe it stays in here, but we'll need to queue free or to disable the entire player's controller. And it's still doing problems. This remove child is not the correct thing to do though. So let's just dot reparent and node self dot get. Can't I get parent? Can I do something similar like this? Maybe. Let's see. If it does, come on. There you go! And I lost controls because it's queue free and the player doesn't exist anymore. The only thing that exists in here is the camera and the animated sprite. Fantastic! Now, this is not a permanent thing, this is just visual, you know? Because this animated sprite in here will maybe or maybe not stay, you know? We have something called infected here, you know, that we can mess around later. But right now, if our enemy dies, you know, there's the dead thing in here, the print, which I can replace this print to show a message on the screen telling that the character, like, you dead or you die or something like that, and make it respawn on a save station or something like that, or just make the respawn process automatic, who knows. But yeah, the enemy can die, so we can kill our enemy, and the enemy can kill us. Obviously, there's a lot of bugs still to be ironed out, you see. And there's a bug as well for some stupid reason, which is a great way to end the stream with a stupid bug, just to be on brand. Of course, we needed to end the stream with the bug, as per usual as the Kaado stream, so future Kaado can always deal with that. But before we end, let me just pause the music and do some small plugs. So, as you may know, on the start of this stream I have talked about the other platforms we have. So we are going to be back on streaming next Friday, I believe. I still don't know who's going to be, but it's going to be someone of the team. And so if you want to know, it will probably be at the same time. It can be earlier, it can be late, who knows. It's at least we have the time set to be at 6 p.m. We should be streaming, but we start earlier. You may know that by getting the notification of the other platforms that we have, because of course we are not only on Twitch. We are on Discord, we have talked about before. We have Instagram, TikToks for shorts and whatever that we cut on stream, X, Twitter, whatever Elon Musk decides to call this app. And of course, this stream will be also available as a VOD on YouTube. And I'm glad that you have joined us for this stream. I hope you have enjoyed, and see you next stream. The raid will start shortly. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
It's a matter of principle.